Have you ever wondered what it takes to solve a mystery? If we're talking about a puzzle that's as perplexing as the vanishing of the famous Fabergé marbles, then the answer lies in the hands of none other than Detective James. Detective James is no stranger to oddities, yet the disappearance of these marbles from the Marigold Museum was shaping up to be one of his most peculiar cases yet. The Marigold Museum, renowned for its collection of rare artifacts, had lost its crown jewel overnight. The marbles, known for their exquisite craftsmanship and historical importance, had vanished as if into thin air. The case landed on Detective James's desk on a dreary, rain-soaked Monday morning, brought to his attention by a frantic Mrs. Evelyn Marigold, the museum director herself. The security footage showed no signs of forced entry. The alarms, which were as sensitive as the ears of a hound, had not been triggered. It was a mystery that seemed to defy explanation. Detective James, always up for a challenge, visited the museum to inspect the scene. The room that once housed the priceless Fabergé marbles was sealed like a vault, locked from the inside with no windows or other exits. The only clue left behind was a small silver key found near the display case, as though it were a silent witness to the crime. James couldn't help but ponder the significance of this key. Could it have unlocked the case? If so, how did the thief manage to lock it back from the inside? The questions multiplied, but the answers were as elusive as the thief. As Detective James delved deeper into the mystery, he couldn't shake off a nagging feeling. There were many pieces to this puzzle, but the image they were forming was still blurry. The silver key was a tantalizing clue, but its purpose and origin were cloaked in shadows. And so begins the curious case of the missing Fabergé marbles, a case that promises to be as baffling as it is intriguing. What could the key mean, and who could have committed such a baffling theft? As Detective James steps into the labyrinth of this mystery, only time will tell if he can find his way to the truth. The suspect list is never short in such cases, and our first person of interest was none other than Mr. Nigel Finch. This gentleman, a renowned art critic, was known far and wide for his discerning eye and razor-sharp wit. His interest in the Fabergé marbles had been noticeably keen during his recent visit to the Marigold Museum, a detail that hadn't escaped Detective James's watchful eye. James's first encounter with Finch was a study in contrasts. The detective, with his no-nonsense demeanor, found himself matched against Finch's flamboyant personality. Yet beneath the critic's theatrical veneer, James detected something else, a peculiar gleam in Finch's eyes that hinted at an untold story. The conversation veered towards the missing marbles, and Finch's demeanor changed. His flamboyance seemed to fade, replaced by a hint of unease. Pressed by James, Finch confessed to an unexpected revelation. He had indeed been tempted, tantalized by the allure of the Fabergé marbles, but he claimed he had resisted the urge to steal them. The confession was an unexpected twist. Finch, the art critic, admitting to a fleeting desire to become Finch, the art thief? It was a tantalizing prospect. It added a layer of intrigue to the man, painting him in shades of gray that blurred the line between critic and criminal. Yet, James was not entirely convinced. Finch's admission could easily be a smokescreen, a clever ploy to divert suspicion. After all, what better way to deflect attention than to admit to a lesser crime? It was a classic case of misdirection, a tactic that Finch, with his understanding of human nature, would be well equipped to employ. So, Detective James found himself at a crossroads. Could Mr. Finch be our thief, or was he merely a red herring? The question hung in the air, its answer buried under layers of deceit and misdirection. As the investigation moved forward, James knew he would have to tread carefully. After all, in a game of cat and mouse, the mouse often proves to be far more cunning than it appears. As we delve deeper into the case, another name emerges from the shadows, Miss Lila Gray. With her beguiling charm and an air of enigma surrounding her, Miss Gray was the newest addition to the Marigold Museum staff. Her enigmatic demeanor was the talk of the museum, raising eyebrows and suspicions alike. A detail that added to the intrigue was her possession of a silver key, strikingly similar to the one found at the crime scene. The key, not so subtly, dangled from her necklace, catching the light and the attention of our astute detective. Could this key be a twin to the one found at the scene? Or was it merely a coincidence? Detective James, with his keen eye for detail, couldn't shake off the feeling that there could be more to Miss Gray than what met the eye. His suspicions were piqued further by the security footage from the night of the theft. The grainy images showed Miss Gray near the display case, her silver key glinting ominously under the dim museum lights. The plot thickened when James discovered that the alarm system was disabled shortly after Miss Gray entered the room. The timing seemed too convenient to be a mere coincidence. Was this charming lady hiding her true intentions behind her captivating smile? As James confronted Miss Gray, she crumbled under the weight of her secrets. Tears streaming down her face, she confessed to the crime, sending a ripple of shock through the museum. But was she the sole mastermind behind the theft? Or was there another player in this intricate game of deception? However, the story took a compelling twist when Miss Gray revealed that she hadn't acted alone. She pointed a finger at another suspect, a name that was already on James's radar. It was none other than the art critic, Mr. Nigel Finch. Could our charming Miss Gray be the culprit behind this intricate crime? Or was she a pawn in a larger game of deceit and treachery? Only time and Detective James's relentless pursuit of the truth would tell. As the layers of the mystery began to peel away, a shocking revelation comes to light. Detective James, with a keen eye and a sharp mind, had been carefully piecing together the puzzle of the Fabergé marble's disappearance. The investigation took a dramatic turn when Miss Gray, the charming yet elusive museum staff member, was cornered. Under the weight of mounting evidence and the unwavering gaze of Detective James, she crumbled. Miss Gray confessed to the crime, her voice barely a whisper in the echoing halls of the Marigold Museum. She admitted to disabling the alarm, unlocking the display case with the silver key, and making away with the precious Fabergé marbles. But the revelations didn't stop there. In a twist that no one saw coming, Miss Gray pointed to her accomplice, none other than the renowned art critic, Mr. Nigel Finch. According to her, it was Finch who had supplied her with the key, a vital piece in their grand scheme. The confession left Detective James both stunned and intrigued. The plot was thicker than he had initially anticipated. The duo had planned to steal the marbles and sell them on the black market. A crime of passion and greed, the allure of the marbles had proven too strong for them to resist. With the confession out in the open, the wheels of justice began to turn. Both Miss Gray and Mr. Finch were arrested, their dreams of a lavish life funded by the sale of the stolen marbles shattered. The Fabergé marbles, the crown jewel of the Marigold Museum, were returned to their rightful place, much to the relief of the museum director, Mrs. Evelyn Marigold. The case that had started on a rainy Monday morning with a frantic call and a missing set of extraordinary marbles had reached a resolution, or so it seemed. Detective James, however, couldn't shake off a nagging feeling. With the marbles back in their rightful place, was this the end of our peculiar case? Just when you think the curtains have closed, another act begins. A few weeks after the case of the missing Fabergé marbles was closed, a letter arrived at Detective James's desk. The sender? Mrs. Evelyn Marigold, the director of the Marigold Museum. In her letter, Mrs. Marigold expressed her gratitude towards Detective James for his unwavering commitment to solving the case. However, her words of appreciation were not the only thing that caught James's attention. She mentioned something peculiar, the discovery of another small silver key eerily similar to the one used in the heist. This key was found hidden among the museum's archives, its existence previously unknown. Intrigued by this new piece of information, Detective James decided to pay another visit to the Marigold Museum. Together with Mrs. Marigold, they started to explore the possibility of what this key might unlock. After hours of searching, they stumbled upon a hidden compartment in the museum's vault, a secret place that no one knew existed. With bated breath, they inserted the small silver key into the lock. As the compartment creaked open, they were greeted with a sight that left them awestruck. Inside was a collection of rare jewels, glittering in their untouched splendor. These were the same jewels that had been reported missing from the museum for decades. Their disappearance, a cold case that had confounded investigators for years. The discovery was a shock to everyone. The theft of the Fabergé marbles, while a major crime, had led to the unraveling of an even bigger mystery. The hidden treasure, which had been lying dormant for years, was finally revealed, thanks to a peculiar case and an unwavering detective. And so, our peculiar case of the missing Fabergé marbles turned out to be a key to an even bigger mystery. Every mystery has its twists and turns, and as Detective James found out, sometimes the answer is just another question.